want to say very well welcome to the spiritguides.co.uk network radio. My first guest for quite some time is Lindy Cowling, and Lindy is going to be talking to us this afternoon about spiritual awakening and all the different things that hang off that. So there's many different topics that I can see here. So we've got sort of past life regression, future life regression, the whole ascension thing, isn't it? And the way that the whole energy is changing and people are sort of shifting, definitely. I guess, aren't they, as we move into 2013. So I thought that'd be a great place to start with the show. What is it, the work you're doing, and you know, what led you to where you are with your clairvoyance and spiritual gifts to sort of get on that sort of ascension, awakening pathway?
You know what? Thank you so much for having me on for a start, and I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for that. But you know what? This has been a phenomenal journey for me, and I think everybody on this planet is on a journey, but there is nothing that I'm more passionate about at the moment than getting this message out about about ascension and about awakening, really. The journey for me, I'll cut it very, very short. The journey for me, I guess, was started the day I was born, but really intensified once I started working in clairvoyance and mediumship and healing and hypnosis and stuff like that, which really has happened for me over the last 12 or 13 years. And the working in that has opened me up spiritually and psychically, if you like, more. But the biggest, hugest leap for me in growth and what has propelled me into doing what I'm doing now and trying to talk about this stuff in the media and going out and doing inspirational talking and channeling was, for me, what propelled it was I actually had a massive soul awakening. I had reached a point in my life 2.5 years ago where I was ready to exit life permanently. I had been extremely ill with ME and fibromyalgia. I had been doing a lot of work, therapy for other people, and like I say, training, and I went to Findlay College and did a little bit of training with Tony Stockwell in mediumship, and I loved what I was doing, but my physical health was so bad and I was in so much pain that I just about had enough. And it was that decision that dropped me, not coincidentally, into a therapy centre, which is a barn conversion in the middle of Wiltshire, which Wiltshire, if nobody knows what Wiltshire is, that's the crop circle county of the world, really. It's got Avebury, it's got Stonehenge, it's where all the crop circle community really is centred.
And all the sacred sites as well.
All the sacred sites, West Kennet Long Barrow, Silbury Hill. It's a Neolithic, 5,000-year-old sites plus, So it's got loads of energy lines, loads of ley lines, loads of extraterrestrial activity. And I relocated here, actually, deviating off a bit from Essex, actually, London born and then Essex, and then ended up here about 8 years ago. But I ended up, as a result of my health, just randomly, I'd already made the decision to exit life. And being a medium, knew that it was a darn sight easier where I was likely to go than where it was here. So there wasn't really much to hold me here, I was thinking, I'm off.
When you say exit life, you mean sort of exit the rat race of normal job, 9 to 5?
Permanently, I mean cross myself over.
Really? Near-death experience type thing?
Yeah, leave. I mean, I had enough. I wanted to jump ship permanently and not come back again. And basically, I was Googling around. I found that there was a psychic surgeon doing an open evening 10 minutes up the road from where I lived. Didn't even know the place was there. Turned up on the doorstep. He was giving a demonstration, and I sat in this hall full of people and literally prayed. And I was in so much pain. I said, look, if I don't get called up and he does a demonstration of healing on me and help me with this, I'm going home and I'm not coming back again. I'm finished with life, really. And he did call me out. I was one of 4 that got called out. He did some work on me, and to cut a long story short, life started turning around from then. His name was Peter Steedman, who's a gifted medium in his own right and a fantastic psychic surgeon based in Wiltshire here. He did some work on me. I went and saw him for a couple of appointments, and he said, why don't you come in and join my mediumship circle? And this, it makes me laugh now looking back. At that point, at that stage, because I'd been very ill, I was 5 stone heavier than what I am now, and I was still on, sticks. I was in that much of a mess. And I turned up to this mediumship circle with him, and a guy came and sat next to me. I didn't even look twice at him, but the guy came and sat next to me, and then we had to practice doing healing on one another. And as soon as I got round this guy to give him healing, something phenomenal happened. There was no separation between my energy field and his, and I'd been doing healing for years, and I knew that this wasn't, as far as I knew, possible. There was no separation. It was as if we were the same being. And this guy, who was a healer and a Bowen therapist in his own right, felt the same thing. As a result of that, we did a treatment swap, and to cut again a very long story short, a 2-year long story short now, this guy turned out to be what's called a twin flame or a twin soul. Now, I had never heard of such a thing. And if you were to Google such a thing, 95% of what will come up on Google is a load of old rubbish. It will say that they're big romantic connections and all the rest of it. A twin soul or a twin flame is the other half or the other counterpart to your soul. So if you're masculine, it's the feminine part of that being. You are a one soul being. And I knew nothing about this, no preconceived ideas. And as a result of that meeting and the 2 years that have followed, that literally blasted open my heart center, which was very much closed before that happened.
So is that like a dual, are you having like a dual life then?
I'll explain it. It's not a dual life. What happens is these, when you meet a twin soul or a twin flame, they don't come in. If you Google this on the internet, like I said, most of it's garbage on the internet. There are some people that really know their stuff on it. And there are these guys based in Canada that the top guys in this are fantastic, and I know them. Gold Ray Twin Flames. They're they call a spade like we do. They've lived it for 20-something years now. And what happens is you're a one soul being. You are activated, if you like, from the moment you're born on Earth, and then at a certain point in your timeline, this twin will appear. Now, he came in for me because I was about to go out. I was about to top myself. I wasn't staying. And I come in for him because if I hadn't have arrived and met him then, he wouldn't have blasted open spiritually and done what he's supposed to do. But we didn't know anything about this at the time. But what will happen is when you meet, it activates a memory in the soul, deep in the soul, of every life you've ever had with them. So because I'm a medium, and also those abilities were catapulted to the fore in him. He didn't have any channeling ability before I arrived, but he has now. We can physically, and this has been witnessed outside of us, so it's not just us going loony, physically change face, change state to the lives we lived before. Physically, we know what the lives were. We've had the details, but we've changed state to it as well. And you can use those abilities and those skills in this life. So say, for example, you were a healer in, I don't know, Lemuria or Atlantis or something. It activates again, so you can tap into those skills again and use them now. Now, I'm going to be a little bit maybe controversial here. For someone who works in past life regression and future life progression, i.e. going back in time and forward in time, as a result of this awakening in me, I now realize that we are multi-dimensional beings, which means we are existing now, in the past, and in the future at the same time on different timelines. So past life regression works because we're dipping into one that's going on there. Future life regression works because we're going ahead. There is no such thing as time that we understand time as, it's all going on at the same time. So you can, and we're experiencing this. I mean, I the God's honest truth, we've sat in a pub in Wiltshire and we have time slipped to 1930s Boston, which was one of our lives.
Right.
A whole pub has played the 1930s music. has turned into one of them diners, that look like a tram. Okay, it only lasted 2 or 3 minutes, but we're both sat there saying, you tell me you're seeing this and feeling.
So you both experienced the same thing at the same time.
The same thing. We time slipped. We actually time slipped. And this is a phenomena that is well documented that genuine twins can do. We didn't know this at the time. We were learning the hard way. And my God, if I'm going to make no bones about this, to meet a twin flame or a twin soul is the most phenomenal, amazing, beautiful spiritual growth you can ever have. It is also the most horrendous, the most challenging, because they are multiply complicated. You have to make the transition, and this is all links into Ascension, because this is what Ascension is. Ascension and twin flames, they're all the same. The twin flame template for humanity, the blueprint, is Ascension. There is no difference. Ascension is coming out of a third dimensional brain and going into a fifth dimensional heart awakening. I would never have got there without this happening to me, without meeting a twin. My twin would never have got there. I would never have been able to go and talk about this stuff on the radio or around the world, or do any of the talks or anything if I hadn't have experienced that. That was my jump start to go and help other people. To get into your heart, you don't have to meet a twin flame or a twin soul, but you have to get into this access in this state. And like I say, this is Ascension as well. There's no separation, where you are able to make your decisions in life no longer from the brain, but from just gut, what you call gut feeling, intuition. Does this make me feel happy? Does this feel like the right thing? You will never think your way to the heart. You will never, ever think your way to Ascension. It's got to be felt. Now, I have to be honest. I have to be really honest here. Most of the people having the problems with this are fellas. They're blokes, because they have been brought up to be very analytical, to not express feelings, to not feel it, but to think it. And it causes enormous problems. It's caused phenomenal problems in my twin, and he's extremely spiritual, but he's a bloke at the end of the day, and it's caused a nightmare, and he's in huge problems between his ego and his heart, because his heart's telling him one thing and his head's telling him another. What happens is, in all human beings, regardless of whether you have a twin here or not, it doesn't matter. In all human beings, you have layers and layers of energy around you. You have your physical body, you have your etheric body, your emotional body, mental body. In the etheric body, there is a blueprint, a program, which has all the belief systems of you. Say, for example, you, Ian, all Ian's belief systems for Ian's life now, all his experiences, all his expectations of his parents. It goes further. All of Ian's parents' belief systems are imprinted in there. All of your parents' then it goes back. All the family line, all the genetics, all in that blueprint. Ascension is letting go and smashing through, really, that blueprint, which has been there for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and living from a new blueprint, the fifth dimensional one. The third dimensional one absolutely cannot exist as we are going up through 2013 and beyond. It's not possible, because the frequency, the radio channel, what we're being tuned up to, that's an old circuit. It's like if you were trying to put different petrol in a car that wasn't geared up for it, the thing would seize up. We are being rebooted as a species. Humanity is being rebooted as a species, rewired, hardwired. There are some slightly, there's not much variations on a theme. If you happen to be, it's not even if you happen to be a light worker. If you happen to be an old soul on one of your last lives or your last life, and you're here to help humanity on a mission, which 9 out of 10 twins are. They're not here for hearts and romance and flowers, although there is that. You are here to do a humanitarian mission through the heart and through love for others. You are here to waken people up. And when you do this, I mean, you can hear the way I'm talking now. When I get going, I mean, I'm just so passionate about it. And I'm buzzing and I'm wired in here. And you can only help people, and you can only talk about stuff that you've experienced. You know, anyone can say they're spiritual and they can read stuff out of a book and quote it at you till the cows come home. But if you're not living it, and if you're not going through it like everybody else is, and for me personally, as breaking down of that old third dimensional thing for me has been horrendous. I mean, my whole life has gone. I am actually an example of what I go around talking about. My whole life has come down around my ears on every conceivable front. There's nothing left that could now happen to me that hasn't happened. But if you want to get the 360-degree view, you have to have literally the walls of everything taken down to realize that it isn't 90-degree tunnel vision in front of you, you know, it's 360 degrees. And so all of this old template, this old blueprint has to be taken down. And this is what Ascension is. Now, as we come into 2013, we're almost at the end of this year now. We've only got a matter of days to go. And we've got the magical date, haven't we, of 21st of December 2012. And, you know, there's lots of people got all sorts of feelings on that, thinking this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Look, I'm fully aware of the conspiracy background. I've got a 15-year background history in that. I've been on many conspiracy programs and radio things around the world, not to talk about conspiracies, but because I have a background in it and know about it, I get invited on there, actually, to be honest, to help open the hearts of mostly the male listeners. It's mostly male listeners on that, because I call a spade and talk plainly about it, and I don't dress it up with all love and hearts and flowers. But you know, I get invited onto these programs, and I think that's part of the reason why, you know, is to get access to people that wouldn't normally listen to stuff like this. But the whole thing about Ascension, this date, once we sweep through that date, we're getting into this new energy, and it's already happening. The new energy is already coming in now. Where basically once there's not going to be a sudden change on the 21st of December, but what will happen is as this frequency it properly comes in then, once we get into 2013, especially the early months, the way my guides have given it to me upstairs, and they're giving it to me again now, sitting here, is that where you used to have a middle ground where you could say, well, maybe I'll do a bit of this, do a bit of that, or I'm not sure. Their middle ground is over once we hit 2013. You either take the left-hand turn or you take the right. You either live from your truth and live from your heart, or you don't. And then people will say, yeah, what happens if you don't? All the people that don't, do they just all drop dead? You know what? I'm going to have to be, I can only be 100% honest and say it as it is. I believe, and I'm not 100% sure on this because we're not being given it, that if you make a conscious decision, I'm not going to follow my heart, I'm going to just stay within this old parameter, that all the old stuff you're clinging to is breaking away like a drowning man with the Titanic going down, is clinging on to the last bit of the wreckage of the Titanic, hoping valiantly that it's going to resurrect itself. I think, to be quite honest, there will be a proportion of people that make a soul decision, not physical in the head, a soul decision, a soul contract decision that they will exit the planet permanently. Now, I don't see or feel this as a massive amount of people. There'll be a proportion, and the other proportion where I have this is the area I'm not sure about. I believe that they, from that conscious decision of not moving up in that vibration, literally are not in the same kind of dimension as the rest of the planet and the rest of the people are. So I have to be totally honest about this. I'm not sure, as are many in my field with this, because we're all saying the same kind of thing. What happens to those people that make that conscious decision? I am not at all of the belief, And it does not resonate with me. I have to just say with what resonates. It doesn't resonate with me that everybody that chooses, oh, I'm not going to do this, well, then that's it. Their number's up. That just doesn't resonate. I think there'll be a proportion that go by natural causes or otherwise if they make that decision on a soul level. A soul level. But I don't believe all of them will. I believe, that they'll have some kind of existence, and maybe for them it doesn't seem even that much different. The only analogy I can use here, Ian, is if somebody passed away and they didn't know that they'd passed away, they would still keep going through all the old stuff the same way and not know that they'd gone over. To me, I think there's going to be an element of that in here as well.
Because the way I see it is if we have to be a certain way to vibrate with the new energy and to live in our truth, then pretty much every system on our planet that keeps us in control, governments, military, money, everything, all of that is obviously going to be working from the wrong places, isn't it? So will there be an acceleration in those kind of structures just coming away? Totally.
There has to be, because it can't exist at that vibration. And there will be big corporations that are of high integrity and truth and working for humanity, working for the good of the people, and they will continue. But it's anything, anyone, any corporation, any structure, anything that's of this lower negative vibration. Now, that's not to say anyone, because I'm third dimension, I've been living a third dimensional life as well. It's not to say that anybody that's not informed about this stuff. I'm talking about anything that's the more negative, that's not of the truth. A corporation that's fleecing people for millions, billions every year, whatever. All those sorts of things are gonna. It's already happening. The spotlight is on them. The magnifying glass is on them. Questions are being asked, but that will rapidly deteriorate, and not through 13, 14, 15, 2015, these years, because they'll be completely under the magnifying glass. And as we hit this critical mass, which we've already hit the critical mass for Ascension. We had to have approximately about half of the planet able to get into their heart and be more heart-based than ego-based to do this. I can tell you that that's already happened. I can tell you that we've already passed through Ascension, even though on our timeline we haven't got there yet. We have got there. We've done it. That's done. That's successful. So, it's the same kind of premise. Is all the stuff that we're talking about at the moment. This is the exciting thing for me. It's like a bit like what David Icke says when you're connecting up all the dots. Everything's connecting up. And even David Icke, as controversial as David is, and I'm a huge fan of David Icke's, he talks about the heart being the key to everything, and the heart opening being the key to everything, because David Icke is in fact extremely spiritual. It's all about healing and things. But it is the heart, because all of us, this is not new knowledge, this is ancient knowledge, but some of us have literally only just woken up to it, myself included. I've just realised that the way that humanity is kept in the dark, in every sense of the word, and in a way enslaved really, is by not being given the information that has been known about since this planet began, that we have all that power and the access, and the reality sits in the heart. And then people will say, well, how do you access that? There are only two ways of accessing the heart. And that is from love and through joy. But that's not normal love and joy. That's not looking at a girl in the supermarket and thinking, well, I love you, or I'm falling in love with you. Or when we say love and joy, I know it sounds so corny, and if I hadn't experienced it, I'd have thought the same. But it's love and joy carry a vibration, a frequency, and it's the same harmonic, it's the same sound as the frequency that is Ascension. And to access it, you cannot, I'm going to go full circle again, you can't think love, you can't think joy, you won't nail it, you'll never get it. The easiest way I teach people to, in the talks, on radio and stuff like that, is to access this state. You have to do it every day, just 5 or 10 minutes every day, and you take your awareness. You even put your hand over your heart, and the easiest way to do this is through joy, because as human beings, most of us have been done over one way or another, linked to love. We have some kind of negative connotation with it. I lost someone, I loved them, they broke my heart. I lost my soulmate, I loved this one, but they died. Not everybody has negative connotations, but most of us do. The easiest way to nail this and the fastest way is through joy. So if I would say to you, for example, take yourself into the most childlike, and it's got to be like a kid, because that's even higher frequency, childlike memory. Say, for example, of you digging on a beach when you were a kid, or the seaside, and it's always sunny. The sun always seems to shine. You've got nothing to worry about. There's no adult concerns there at all. It just feels great. Maybe you're sitting there eating an ice cream and you can feel the sand and you can feel the sun. And it has to be so strong enough in you that while you're having these, and it doesn't have to even be a real memory, either real memory or imaginary one, because I can tell you, as 15 years working as a hypnotherapist, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference to your energy field if you are implanting a memory, a real one, or it's a real one or implanted. It won't make any difference. So a real memory or an implanted one, but it has to be strong enough that you are picturing, feeling, seeing, hearing yourself as a kid, full of happiness, that you actually would sit there as Ian with a big grin on your face. When it's as strong as that, which will only take really minutes, then you take your awareness into your heart. You'll feel your heart starting to feel different, warm, and you almost like lower the feeling down into the lower part of your heart. The feeling is what nails it. As soon as you do that, it's starting to happen. The activation's starting to happen. But the double whammy to this is that we are now in 2012 coming into 2013 and beyond. We're at the time of not manifestation, that's too low now. Creation, higher creation. And by pushing that joyful childhood feeling down into your lower heart, you activate the energy of creation. Anything you create with that energy is hundreds of times faster than manifestation, almost instantaneous. It's that fast, and it's very, very powerful. So you can create that, create that as well. So it's a double whammy here. You're standing in your power, you're activating your heart, you're opening your heart, you're raising your frequency, and you're also opening up your own, what they call co-creative abilities here, learning that you're a creator. People would just turn around to me at talks and they just say, but that's too easy. It can't be that easy. That's the thing that makes me laugh. This is what's been kept from us for so long. It is as easy as that. It's as simple as what I'm saying it is. And it's almost criminal, really, that all hundreds of years, thousands of years, this has been kept from us. And yet we literally are that, that corny saying again, we are the ones we've been waiting for. People look outside for source. They look outside for God. They look outside. They look up to heaven. All of that is inside the heart space. You are all of those things. You are the universe. You are Ascension. You're everything that you've been looking outside for is in there. And I mean, I'm laughing at myself here because there is not a religious bone in my body. I'm an extremely spiritual girl. I'm not religious, and I can hear myself here, and it sounds like I'm doing a religious sermon here, and I'm not religious at all. But I would never have known this stuff had I not had my own heart awakening on this. And this is part of my mission in the time that I have left on this planet, is to go around and help people with this. Because as a result of it, people's lives are not only changing phenomenally now, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Once they get into 2013 and on, people are going to, people's relationships are going to change significantly, because as the frequency goes up, if your partner, who's maybe been your partner maybe 5 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever, if they don't raise in frequency with you, it's like a dolphin sending out, it's like a dolphin sending out a frequency, or like a tuning fork. You will attract and resonate people around you that match your frequency. And these frequencies aren't normal, what we call normal soulmates anymore. This is going to be the norm, is going to be a much, much higher connection. It's going to be what we call this new template, the twin flame template. You will, mark my words, you will hear the term twin flames and twin souls mentioned more and more and more and more, and there will be millions on this planet being activated, very high soul connections with this new program that's being formed. And everybody, it won't happen overnight, but everybody is going to feel these shifts on every front. Jobs, it's already happening, jobs, relationships, and it really, on the face of it, when these happen, and I'm going through it, so I know what it's like. People will say, "Oh my God, it's scary! I've lost my job, I've lost this has happened, I've lost the love of my life, I've lost it all at once, whatever." All these things, they sound doom and gloom, but it's literally clearing the decks, because this new template is coming in, and everything that was of the old frequency that wasn't in harmony has to go. I go full circle. There's no middle ground anymore. It either you go left, you go right. You choose white, you choose black. You choose good, you choose bad. There's no middle ground anymore. Time's up. The egg timer's run out. There isn't any time left. There's no debate on it anymore. You have to now actually put up or shut up. You have to live what you're saying, live your truth now, and every single person can do that. But it is a matter of free will and choice. There will be some that say, you can take that, put that where the sun don't shine. I don't want to live that way. I like my old way of living. I want to keep it like this.
Yeah.
I say that's going to be very interesting to see, because the chasm, the gap between the people that live from the heart and follow their soul and their gut feeling and their intuition, and who keep accessing this state in the open heart, is going to be a huge gap between that and people that try and cling through fear to this old system. You're clinging to a ship that is already most of the way gone now, and they're just clinging to the wreckage that is floating on the sea.
A lot of people are still living in fear, aren't they? Because with so many changes, it's like an emotional roller coaster. So not enough money, fuel prices going up, just to buy the basics and stuff like that. A lot of people don't have a lot of access to this kind of knowledge, what you're talking about, and are going to be living in absolute fear. So how do they... Where do we get past that, when people no longer living in fear and they can be completely comfortable?
There's two ways. Things like, it's getting the information out there, and we need to get information, what we're talking about here, into the mainstream. Obviously, that is intentionally blocked. We are intentionally not allowed to get information like that in the mainstream, because most of the mainstream is not run to the benefit of humanity. It's run to keep humanity in the dark.
They want to keep us in the old way. They're sort of hanging on to dear life, basically.
Because if you're in the old way, you can't stand in your power. You can't have the knowledge that we just said about actually being able to create for yourself. You can't see the reality of what's going on around you, and you're easily malleable and controllable. So there's a vested interest in keeping humanity quiet. But one way is to get as much information out as possible. But the second way, which is even more exciting, is because there's enough people on this planet now that are of the new template, that are vibrating at this new rate. And as we go through Ascension in just a few weeks, but that Ascension is already washing through now. It's like the beginnings of it are coming in now. But once we come through 21st of December, and it's going to keep racking up right the way through January, February, March as well. There's so many people living at that rate now, and there'll be a phenomenal amount more by then, that it's sending out, if we go back to the dolphin again, it's sending out the new frequencies. So even Joe Bloggs down the street, he's going to be feeling on a soul level this new frequency, and it's going to get through. There's going to be a lot of people swept through and helped with this that didn't have to have access to it directly from the horse's mouth, because the new template is already here. There's enough people now, enough twins, enough people, not, it doesn't have to be twins, but enough people of that template. There are other evolved beings coming in that are here already helping with it. There's enough now that frequency is being pumped out. So it is great. Where I really do feel sorry for people is when they are going through this stuff. And again, if I didn't know what I knew, and I was going through the stuff I'm going through in my house now in my life, I'd have cracked up, to be honest. But because I know what I know, I'm still experiencing it on a human level, but I know the bigger picture, and I know it's why it's happening. It's all fine. I'm able to take myself, my heart is open. I go back into my heart, into the bigger picture. But my heart goes out to people that don't have access to that at the moment and are not feeling that vibration at the moment. What will happen is when you are in a state of fear, we go back to a radio dial. It's when you're living in the heart, and this state from the heart, this heart love, like I said, and this heart joy, this vibration, it's all about vibration. That's what it all is. Say that's about a 10 out of 10. When you're in this state of fear, you're on a 0 or a 1. When you're staggering around like a blind man in this fear, you can't even think how you're going to get to the end of the day, let alone anything else. You can't. Your vibration is so low at that point, you can't hear the one being pumped out at the 10. You're not literally on the same wavelength. You can't hear it, you can't feel it, because you're in such a state of fear. But once the message gets out that you can switch off this fear by getting back into the heart and getting back into this state, your frequency raises. Then you start to see things that as you are, it's a catch-22, as you drop the fear, because your vibration is raising, everything else starts to change around you, and you start seeing the reality of what is. Once you start seeing the reality of it, the so-called reality changes around you. That again, it's amazing. It's like being in a Harry Potter film. Once your internal reality changes, the way you feel about things and drop the fear, then your external changes, then the physical reality changes. So people will say, well, I'm still going to default on my mortgage, but somehow everything changes. Yeah, you default on your mortgage, but suddenly, I don't know, Uncle Harry appears out of the something, and it turns out he left you so-and-so in your will, and actually, yeah, you're not going to be in that house, but actually you're going to end up with a better one. And everything starts to change. But when you're in this state of fear, and don't forget, most of humanity are intentionally being kept in that state, you're effectively blind. You can't see, you can't think straight, your vibration is very, very low. You really start to suffer. And everything about this time that we're in is to, I'm going to say it again, it sounds quite violent, but that's the way my guides give it. You smash through. There is no pussyfooting about again. There's no time left. You have to say it as it is. You smash through this old template and haul yourself into the heart and into this state of love. And again, you can't think it. You can't think this state, you have to, for anyone that's listening, but particularly guys, particularly men, you got to feel it. You have to feel this feeling. And like I said again, the easiest way is to go into joy. The guys
laughter, just laughing and joking.
Absolutely.
Guys are good at jokes, aren't they? And telling jokes and being
absolutely.
Silly.
Anything that's joyful, laughter, joy. You raise your vibration by bunging on a comedy DVD. Anything that raises the vibration and intentionally raises that vibration, but with the intent of, actually, I can feel how happy I feel in the area of my heart, is starting to open the heart. And they can do it. But anyway, watch a comedy, watch Ricky Gervais, Billy Connolly or whatever. Whatever, watch something, but with the intent, while you're laughing there, is literally to sit there with your hand on your heart and actually feel that happy feeling. And it's with intent, of keeping that energy around the area of the heart. You can do it with love, but like I said, complicated beings we are, humans. There's usually some kind of negative connotation with it. So my guides always tell me to say, try and get people to do it through joy, because joy and love are virtually the same sound, virtually the same frequency. They will open the heart in the same way. Once you're getting into the, like you said, laughing and giggling and the real childlike thing, you've nailed it. Once you're like a kid again, you've nailed it.
There's got to be joy and laughter, isn't it? But not harming somebody else, not laughing at somebody, but laughing with people. And
it's almost that exactly. It's that purity. It's that purity and that laughing, not laughing at someone's misfortune, but like you say, laughing, because a real proper laughing and in that happiness, that does it. And the only way to sustain this, because at the times we're living in, people are being bombarded at the moment with negativity, because there is a vested interest in stopping people ascending. I mean, it doesn't happen, and it hasn't happened, and it won't happen, but there is a vested interest in it, stopping people getting through this portal. But the easiest way to do this is to actually, people do have to make an effort here. They have to actually, sit down for just 5 or 10 minutes a day and access that state. It's not, and for those that say, well, I just haven't time or whatever, well, let's hope that they are in the backwash, if you like, that are washed through this new template anyway. It is such, really, I can't get across strong enough. These aren't scary times. Everybody on this planet at this moment chose to be here. These are amazing times. There isn't going to be, some significant, massive, great disaster thing overnight. Some people are going to say, well, what was all that about then? I don't feel any different.
What about the sun? Because there seems to be a lot of connections. When you look at all the Mayan stuff, they seem to link changes with the sun around this 26,000 year cycle and stuff like that. And I don't believe in the whole doomsday thing, and I think I can see why some people went off on that route. Because they're talking about like rebooting the clock, aren't they? Like a new cycle. But is there changes going on around the solar system, in the galaxy, if you know what I mean, connected to all this? Is this part of a natural cycle that happens?
There is a natural cycle, and there are numerous solar flares and things like going on as well. There is also a lot being bandied about saying that we are actually going to lose the sun for 3 days and 3 nights. Now, all I can say is I can only say what's given to me and what's given through me to channel. If that is something that's going to take place, I have not been told anything about it. Now, the reason I wouldn't be told anything about it is A, it's nothing to worry about and is inconsequential, or B, it's not going to happen. Because I'm not getting anything on that. So it can't be anything to worry about if it does happen. But there is, I've heard for a while, it's purported that the sun, we won't have any sun for 3 days or 3 nights, and a lot of people will panic at that point. But all I can say is when I'm talking about it now, I put what I call the feelers out to feel if that resonates with me, and I'm feeling nothing, as if it's not even there. So to me, I have to read that as well. It's, if that happens, it's nothing, it's nothing to worry about. It's just 3 days, 3 nights, or it's not going to happen at all. So there are purportedly solar flares, but again, you know what? It's only been in the last year. I don't watch the news. I don't watch anything to do with the media. I don't watch any of it, because 99.9% of that is drip fed, and is the same given drip fed thing to all of humanity anyway. It's controlled. There is no independent news on this planet. So you're only being fed through the old template, what they want you to be fed anyway.
Yeah.
So I just go on the 5th dimensional template, which is feeling what's happening in the world, feeling what can I do to help that, feeling it and not getting tangled up with it. Most people who watch the news, their vibration, if they had a vibration of 9 or 10 when they sat down and watch it, it would be on the floor by the end of that news.
Well,
on the floor.
Well, I feel when I watch TV, mainstream, especially X Factor, I feel, this is what I said the other day, I don't know why I said it, but I was being very cynical, and I just said that I felt as if every cell, molecule in my body was just slowly dying.
Well, you know why you said that, because just within a matter of days in this conversation, and it's resonated. That is what happens. That is what happens. They slow down, they slow down, they slow down. And in effect, you are slowly dying, because the life and energy and you, the being that you are, I mean, hence the term human being, the being that you are only exists through light, and the matter of light and creation is only made of one energy, and that energy is love. It's the vibration, not, again, lovey-dovey hearts and flowers. That love, as beautiful it is, love is also a frequency. It's a frequency, it's a vibration. So what you said was exactly right, because it's a lower vibration, and you're obviously someone that's very accustomed to hitting higher vibration to notice that. You notice the drop. Now, other people who weren't used to going up to higher levels of frequency, and wouldn't notice that. So if they were watching something like, X Factor or something, or the news 24/7, loads and loads of stuff like that all the time, which, a big proportion of the Western world is, let's face it, you get so dumbed down, your vibration gets so low, and your cells get so slow, and everything's slow.
Well, they put a lot of subversive messages in there. There's lots of negative symbols.
Absolutely.
Satanic even. I point them out and people do not believe me, but they're in there.
Absolutely. And you know how they get that through? They only can get it through if you're slowed down and dumbed down, because when you're slowed down and dumbed down, then the message goes in. I know this from working as a hypnotherapist for 15 years. You get the subliminal messaging in there when you've got people in a trance state. Well, they are putting you in a trance state with the TV. It's the biggest hypnotherapist in the world as a television set. Only they're doing it, and I just got a massive hit on that. When my guys give me a hit, I go like covered in goosebumps. My hair's gone on end. It's just happened. So it's the biggest hypnotherapist in the world. And how they do it, they put out lower level programs that don't require much thinking about, or even any thinking about. You just sit there and wait to be entertained. And then that's when they slip these subliminal, they're quite blatant about it. It's not even that subliminal now.
Yeah, no, they're very overt now.
because they're running out of time. Let's hit them over the head with it quick.
Well, it's dangerous for them to do that, because they're actually revealing themselves as well. I've got another question actually, because we're running out of time. With the future life progression and your medium clairvoyant abilities, have you been privy through doing that kind of work to see what possible futures there are? When you've met people and sort of discussed future potentials, have you seen anything that really stands out to you?
Well, there's been different things. In people's own personal lives, obviously, they've tapped into with future life regression, you tap into the optimal path that your soul could take, and they tend to bring that energy back with them. But you mean more on a global scale, don't you, when people go like right ahead, not just into some people go ahead more than this life, and they seem to, the feedback is the same, and anybody that works in future life progression that's been doing it for years will be feeding back the same information, and I know that for a fact, is that there are huge world changes not happening instantly now, but we're talking when people have gone ahead, quite a few years ahead. There have been global changes, but there have all been changes for the better, where people are living in this much, much higher energy state, where they're nothing. Our third dimensional world as such doesn't exist then. And there have been huge leap forwards with the medical things, medical procedures. It's the whole thing has been completely overhauled by then. People's state of health, people are a much, much, much better state of health. Lots of so-called things like cancer, which actually they've had the cure for cancer since time began, actually. That's all, that they've had that. They've got the cure for cancer. But that's all well known about and in the open by then. And there's loads and loads of changes about people's quality of life and people with these high soul connections then. And it's all much more energy-based and just all positive. Everybody that I've ever taken forward into this has always fed back totally positively on it. And like I say, these are we all chose to be here at this time. And if we go back to multidimensionality again, where, like I said, that's why I'm saying we've already been through Ascension, where multidimensionality works on the premise that there's Ian Jones sitting where you are now, but there's lots of other Ian Jones in the past, in the future. Is
there one for every decision you make? Is there an infinite amount for every potential, so past, present and future?
You know what, how it's given to me, and I believe, is that like, for example, that you're Ian here now, that you are already having existences in different timelines. Like, for example, you could be in 1930s or the 1850s or somewhere in America. And I don't know why I'm saying this. Maybe I'm getting input that's making me laugh. I was just about to say to you 1850s, like gunslinger in America or something. Now, I don't know where that comes from, and maybe that's not random. Maybe you are there doing that. But there'll be you ahead as well that's been through this time, and some people ahead, I have to say, aren't ahead on this planet. It's very commonplace by then for us to be backwards and forwards because we can travel dimensionally anyway. That's possible anyway. It doesn't have to be a spacecraft is built to do this.
Yeah, but it means your childhood is happening now, though. It means you're still, anything that happened as a child, you're doing that now. Part of you is living that.
Exactly.
And part of you is living the future you as well.
Exactly. But these, on the positive level, think that we can tap into this. It's a bit like we've just gone full circle, like I said, going into the heart and going into that pure childlike state and remembering the holiday and tapping into that. You can tap into all that positivity now and use it, but you can also yank it into now from the future, because this is what future life progression does. When clients link into the energy that they like the feel of, or the imagery that they like the feel of, they can, just by recognizing it and sending out that, hello, I recognize you, I like the feel of this, you pull it towards you and you can use that now. And that's what multidimensionality is. You can, in the times we're coming into, we are all, this is not for the privileged few, everybody is going to be able to link into this stuff and use skills that they're using in other timelines, ahead and behind. Don't forget, it doesn't exist really. It's all going on at the same time. We can use all of that to move forward now. But everything that we've talked about today all comes back to the same thing. Ascension is the heart. Twin flames are the heart. The new template is the heart. Coming out of fear, which is third dimensional, can only be done by feeling, living through the heart. Everything now for humanity is all about going into that state, and you'll only access that state by feeling, never thinking it, laughter, happiness, getting into that state of joy, getting into that state of, and if you can do it with love, great, but joy is going to be far easier for us as humans, into that state of joy. Doing it every day, 5 or 10 minutes every day. People ask, how can I change the world? How can I change this? How can I change that? What I've just said in the last minute, that's how you change it, because as soon as you pump that vibration out, that higher frequency out, you're uplifting everybody in your family, everybody in your street, everybody in your village, in your town. It's affecting the people in your city, because it's this critical mass. We're not separate. We're not a separate consciousness. We are one consciousness, one. So if you're enough of that consciousness is pumping out that signal, pumping out that frequency, the rest is going to get it. Like I said, the template, there's enough of us in here now doing this that the others can imprint on that template. They can hear it, they can feel it. And that's the responsibility that humanity has got, really. Everybody, in a way, their responsibility is to access this state. It's not an effort to turn the X Factor off, or the news off, or American Idol off, or whatever else off is it there, and just sit there and just spend 5 minutes doing this. Because if you don't do it for you, I sound like a preacher. If you don't do it for you, then do it for your kids or your grandkids.
Well, let me lead into a little secret. I mean, for the last year, I've researched all the conspiracy stuff very heavily, and I've always believed in it, but I just got really into it and bogged down. And I got to a point over the last couple of weeks where I thought, I've believed in this for ages. I've written loads of different letters, different people. I've tried to let so many people know about it. All of it did nothing apart from make me feel a bit frustrated. Yeah. So I just thought, I've just got to walk away from this for a little while. So I just completely turned off the news, turned off all the conspiracy websites, and just had time out for the last 3 weeks. And I started to really look at all the spiritual stuff again. Yeah. And I feel so much better. And I guess in a way what I'm trying to say is it didn't matter how much I invested in looking into the real dark and horrible stuff. Nothing in the world changed. It still continued, apart from it made me feel a bit bad. Yeah. So
so the way you're approaching it is exactly right, and that's the same thing happened to me. I knew everything there was to know about the conspiracy side of it. And in the end, that just was making me go into my head even more and feel even more negative and disempowered. And now I don't even look into that side of it now, because I know the way of changing it is the way that we've just talked about. You can change everything by approaching it. You can be informed, but you approach it the completely different way. You approach it from the level of vibration, frequency, the more spiritual way, because we are spiritual beings. The new template is a spiritual soul template, and that's why you got to the stage that you got to. You had to realize, it's a realization. You had to have that realization for yourself. You will never go back to approaching it the way you approached it before, because you've had that recognition in you that it drops your frequency, it drops your vibration.
It did, definitely.
It's empowering. What we're talking about now is empowering. It's empowering stuff. And that raises your vibration. It's still getting the message out there. It's still helping people, but it's doing it a different way.
It's definitely better, because I'm smiling at people and they're smiling back. And it's making them happy.
And then you have to look, the conversation we've had here, between us, do you go away buzzing from that and feeling happy, or do you feel lousy?
Well, when you feel
lousy, your vibrations, if you feel quite enlightened or feel buzzy by it, then you know that your vibration has gone up, and you know it's resonating with you, and therefore it must be right for you.
Exactly. Yeah, I think what a wonderful way to end the show.
Yeah,
Tied that up.
Loved it. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, fascinating. Well, how can people find out more about you, Lindy?
I've got a website, which is www.lindy, which is LINDY, Cowling, COWLING.co.uk. I'm on YouTube as well, talking about Ascension, Ascension and Awakening 2012 and beyond. I'm on there. I'm actually on there with Oliver Paxton, who's actually is my twin soul, based in Wiltshire as well. I'm on YouTube on the clips from other shows and things, but you can track me any of those ways. And like I say, the biggest thing that anybody can do for themselves at the moment is just do whatever that it takes, and it really is that simple, to just get themselves back into that, out of fear and back into the heart, and that's really all they need to do now. But I thank you so much for having me on, and from my heart to yours, lots of love, and I'm absolutely sure that we will touch base again. That's making smile, because I just got here.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.